folks, this is Pastor Mike Hoggard coming to you from Studio 2012 with another Watchman video broadcast. This caught my eye. Pulled up the Drudge Report. I come in here every day, I pull up some news. We'll see what's going on in the world. After all, this is a Watchman ministry. A lot of you out there are helping us watch. You're also watchers. You're on the wall watching out for what's going on. I'm going to show you how important that is here in just a few minutes, and it's related to this. But I come in the other day, and I've just pulled up the Drudge Report, and this is what I saw. Drudge Report, up from the ruins, and it has a picture here of. If you look very, very deep in the background, you see a tall building. Now that's the Empire State Building. In the foreground is the New World Trade Tower that they're building. And the date of this, in fact, let's look at the article. WTC's Freedom Tower to rise higher than the Empire State Building today. Now, let me just kind of tell you why this caught my eye. Number one, the symbolism of this tower. We're going to look at it here in a little bit. But the date that this particular thing happened, let's go back to the article. And what happened is that they were able to make the World Trade Tower, the one they're building, to replace the other two that fell down into a crumpled heap. I want you to think about that, because the Drudge Report headline was "Up from the Ruins." That means something, and I'm going to show you what it means. But on this particular date, April 30th, and you say, well, what's the big idea about April 30th, April Schmertieth? Who cares? Well, that's the day before May the 1st, and you're going, oh, okay, now May the 1st. I get May the 1st because that's the day the Illuminati was formed. We'll talk about that too in a minute. There is actually a particular reason why Adam Weishaupt formed the Order of the Illuminati. Actually, it goes by another name. We'll tell you what that is in a minute. There was a very important reason why Adam Weishaupt picked that particular day, and I'll show you why. But you need to remember something. This year was a leap year. So there was an extra day added into February. And again, I'm going to show you what all that means here in a minute. But look at this. So on April the 30th, in fact, if I look at the bottom here, the owners of One World Trade Center, look at the name, which will surpass the height of the Empire State Building today, are waging an all-out business war against its midtown cousin, the Post has learned. So why is it that this made such big news? Why, and I want you to understand, why is it that on this particular day, April the 30th, did they have to report, and there was an idea that we have to make this building make headlines today by making it actually taller than the Empire State Building. So what happens is that in September 11, 2001, when both World Trade Centers towers fell, along with Building 7, and nobody still knows why Building 7 fell down, but it did, okay? We don't know why. But anyway, both World Trade Towers fell down to the ground, and so that made, and I remember hearing that on the news today, on that day, that actually made the Empire State Building once again the tallest building in New York City. Okay, so they enjoyed that for a while. Now, on this particular day, 11 years after, well, almost 11 years, not quite yet, but almost 11 years after 2001, we have the new, there's one tower going up, and it's supposed to be a certain height. It's not there yet, but actually on April the 30th, this tower reached, they put like a beam in place, like one beam, big deal. They put a beam in place that actually then made the One World Trade Tower taller than the Empire State Building. So now it goes in the record book, okay, on this particular date. I'm going to kind of teach you the language of symbols. You know that I really dig symbols, okay, like this one here. We're going to talk about this one actually today here in a little bit, if we get time. Anyway, the language of symbols. Why this building? Why does it look the way that it does? Why is it going to be as tall as it is? Why does it have to reach a certain height on a certain day? Why April 30th? Let's look at the symbolism of the tower. Some of this goes back to a couple of videos that we did. One was called the Babel Conspiracy. The other one was called the Beast of 9/11. But I'm going to kind of throw some new things in with you so that we get a little bit more understanding. Then we'll talk about the role of a watchman in relation to this. You're going to see this. First of all, let's look in the occult world, because in the occult realm they love to use symbols. Symbols, symbols, symbols. Why? Because symbols mean something. They mean something on the outside. There's an exoteric meaning to a symbol. In other words, Thomas Nelson, they'll put this little symbol on front of the New King James Bible, and they'll say, that simply means the Trinity. Not really, because the Bible, of the inside, the Bible says that we're not to think that the Godhead can be graven with art and man's device. And so God said there is no symbol for the Trinity. Thomas Nelson said, oh yeah, it's a symbol for the Trinity. Somebody's not telling the truth, and I guarantee you it's not God. Okay, God is telling the truth here. So symbols have an exoteric meaning, and then they have an esoteric meaning, which means secret, hidden. It's something that they're not going to reveal. But I believe in a God and a Bible that reveals the deep and secret things. That's what he said in the book of Daniel. So the symbolism of the tower, according to the occult realm, we have a tarot card. Tarot cards are all about the transformation of man, or the future of man. Tarot card readers will lay out cards and say, this is your future. Actually, the entire deck of tarot cards predicts the future of mankind and how mankind is going to be transformed from a lower state to a God state, just like the devil promised in Genesis chapter 3. So here's the tarot card of the tower. Now I want you to notice this. This is really interesting. We have a tower. Okay? And the tower is built by mankind, and then something happens. Something happens. And I want you to notice that above this tower there's a crown. Now stop right here. Let's think of it. Some of this is real obvious if you just stop and think about it. A crown denotes a king. So this tower represents, oh, I'm going to turn there already, represents a king. Revelation 9:11. Think about that. Revelation 9:11, the Bible says, and they had a king over them. Who is they? It's that scorpion, locust, devils that are being released out of the bottomless pit. They had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit. This king, his name is Apollyon, which means destroyer or destruction, or Abaddon, which means destroyer or destruction. Okay, what happened? 9/11, destruction. So look at this card again. We have the tower with a crown on it. Okay? And the tower is being struck by lightning and flames, and you have people falling out of windows, and the tower catches on fire and it falls to the ground. That's exactly what happened September 11th, 2001 with those two towers. They were struck, fire, people falling out of the windows, they crumpled down to the ground. And they represent a king. Now this king, according to Revelation chapter 9, the beast, he's going to rise up again. And Revelation 17 tells us something interesting about the beast, is that there are 7 kings. 5 are fallen, 1 is, and 1 is yet to come. And the beast is the 8th and is of the 7. So this idea, here's this tower, and here, or let's say the two World Trade Towers, okay, symbolized by the tower tarot card. The towers fall. The king has fallen. The king has been he's been toppled, as it were. So that was the imagery that we got September 11th, 2000, or 9/11. That was the imagery that we got. Okay, but here's the real meaning of the tower. We look at it again. Even though it is struck down and the king has fallen and the tower falls and people falls and there's flames and all this stuff. Now think about the abyss or the bottomless pit. It's referred to as the prison or hell in the Bible, and it has flames. Okay? So I want you to understand this. We have the flames, we have the rubble. literally, if you remember on that day, the two towers literally disintegrated into ashes and dust. They were hauling off a major portion of the World Trade Tower, not with huge cranes, but one shovel at a time, one bucket full at a time, is full of ashes, debris, human remains. We will never forget where we were on that day. But it was meant to put an image into our minds. The imagery of symbolism. And so the king is fallen, representing by the towers falling down. But they're building a new one up in its place. I want you to look at the imagery of the phoenix now, the phoenix bird. The phoenix has this mythological bird. Okay, I want you to think of a creature with wings. Okay, if you look in Revelation chapter 9, you'll notice that these locusts, or these scorpions, they have wings, and the wings sound like chariots, okay? And I want you to get that. Here we have a mythological bird, and every culture in the world has some idea of the phoenix. The phoenix dives or is cast into the fire, okay? Then it rises back up out of the ashes. If we go back to this headline from Drudge Report, Up from the Ruins, that's the imagery that we're supposed to get. That's what we're supposed to be seeing here. We have a new tower rising up from the ashes of where the old two towers once stood. Do you understand that? That building there in Manhattan is the phoenix. It represents a king. It represents a king that used to be and is in the flames and being destroyed in the ashes, and now is rising up from the very ashes and the very place that it was once destroyed. That's the symbolism of what all this is going on. Somebody sent me this, and I remember seeing this a long time ago, and it just clicked in my memory. Back in 1998, a magazine called The Economist came out, 1988, and it said, "Get ready for a world currency." And this was the euro, or a prediction of the euro. And I want you to notice, here we have a phoenix. Kind of looks like an eagle, doesn't it? Stop right here. What's on the back of the $1 bill? It's an eagle. Okay, but Manly Hall and all the occultists say, well, you say eagle, we say phoenix, because that's what it is. Okay, the eagle is actually a phoenix, and it has something to do with rebirth or regeneration, the birth of a new world order, as it were. So here we have the phoenix rising up out of the ashes. I want you to notice what the ashes are. The ashes are the old currency of Europe. And that eagle, or that phoenix, bears a coin on its chest that has the number 10 on it. Boy, let's think about this for a minute. I mean, let's just break this down and understand the language of symbolism. It's right there in front of your face. The beast that rises up out of the sea, guess what it has? It has 7 heads, but it has 10 horns, and those horns represent kings. It represents dominion. And so here we have the European Union and the euro rising up, being predicted as far back as 1988. They're saying, get ready for it. In fact, don't just get ready for the euro. Get ready for a world currency. In other words, every nation in the world using one common currency. What does that have to do with anything prophetically? Well, we know in Revelation chapter 13 that the false prophet causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, so that no man might buy or sell. So absolutely, the economy, financial matters, the world markets, the currency of the world, the gold, the market, everything has to do with the end times prophecy of the beast rising up out of the sea and what's going to happen on the earth during those days. And I can tell you that, and I want you to understand this. Let's go to this image of Baphomet. Okay, here is Baphomet, and he's doing this. He's making the little hand gestures, and he's all symbolic, is what he is. And on this arm, he's got Salve written. You know what that means? Dissolve. Let's dissolve it. Think of the two towers coming down and the ashes and dust, and that's really all it is. Dissolve the old, and then on this arm it says coagula, which means coagulate or form it back together in a new model. So Salve coagula. Let's tear it all down first.